Hey, it's Casual Friday. Welcome to it. I am GM Jim. Over here is.
Hey, I'm Ryan Doyle from the Verdigris Table, and down there, here,
I'm Brad from Diarden.
And this is Casual Friday, as we've already established. So, why don't. Hey, Twin Steel. Why don't you go. You watching this? Go grab your favorite adult afternoon beverage or combustible plant and come hang out with us. While Ryan is over there demonstrating what an adult beverage.
it's a seltzer
like.
actually, but I'm really thirsty, but I've been saving that Foley for 20 minutes now.
Perfect. So today on the show, we're going to talk about some stuff. And you're going to listen and you're going to watch. But right up at the top, I want to, how casual, no pants. You can only see me from the
you don't
chest
know what's
up.
going on
so
down
you
here,
don't
baby.
know.
That's
You
why
don't
it's very carefully framed. Got to leave them some mystery.
Yeah, imagine whatever you want, Jordan.
I will say, if you're watching this from home, pants are optional. You know, I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do. Wizards and Warp Drives, good morning from New Zealand. Hello, Wizards and Warp Drives. Right up at the top, I know you're probably wondering, are we going to do more Guess the Magic item? And the answer is yes. We are going to do more Guess the Magic item, and I've got that. And I even, a special treat, I wrote a theme song. Okay, I made that up just now. I didn't actually pre-write that, but that's our jingle. I'll try to remember it if I have to play it again next time. Maybe we'll find somebody on Fiverr to actually record that for us.
That's too much.
Ryan looks stunned.
I'm pumped. I'm pumped. I wasn't ready for it. So Brad and I in our group chat, we're talking about studying, and I'd like to go on record to say that I did not, which will become evident pretty quickly. But I did think about pulling the DMG down and reading some stuff.
Yeah, I didn't study either. I made the joke in the group chat, but I didn't actually do it. No.
Well, prepared or not, here it comes. This is Guess the Magic item. Item number 1. You can use an action to throw this item up to 60 feet. If you haven't seen this before, there will be 3 clues, and then I'll reveal the item. They can guess it at any point. Chat, feel free to try to help these guys out.
Dwarven thrower.
You know what? I did this like 5 days ago. I don't even remember.
Ooh,
We
so I'm
have
playing
one
too now.
guess. One guess for the Dwarven thrower. The second clue: each creature within a 10-foot radius of where this item landed must succeed on a DC 15 Dexterity saving throw. Take 5d4 force damage.
Beat of force.
Yeah,
beat of force.
I do believe it is a beat of force. Second item: you can use a bonus action to toss this item into the air and speak the command word.
I mean, the broom of flying? Is that?
It's not a broom of flying.
I have to guess every time.
But I remember it's
I'm
not
just
a
playing
broom
the
of
odds.
flying. When you do so, the item begins to hover, flies up to 30 feet, and attacks one creature of your choice within 5 feet of it.
Huh.
Our third and final clue: after the item attacks for the 4th time, it flies up to 30 feet and tries to return to your hand. Any final guesses?
Is there a magical boomerang? I was gonna say one of those like tokens of animal, but I don't think the bird does that.
I was trying
Brad,
to.
you got anything?
Is that? I'm trying to think. I can't remember if it's official 5e, but there's something like this that was like a scarab, like a little scarab token that you would throw.
This is the Dancing Sword. Twin Steel got it right in the comments.
Gotcha.
And our third and final item: this dazzling item is set with 1d10 diamonds, 2d10 rubies, 3d10 fire opals, and 4d10 regular opals.
The crown of jewels.
I don't have a guess.
You can use an action to cast one of the following spells, save DC 18, using one of the gems of the specified type as a component: Daylight, Fireball, Prismatic Spray, or Wall of Fire. The gem is destroyed when the spell is cast and disappears.
Is that the It's Helm of Brilliant. Is it Helm of Brilliance?
Helm of Jewels.
We have one guess for the Helm of Brilliance. Roll a d20 if you are wearing the item and take fire damage as a result of failing a saving throw against the spell. On roll 1, the helm emits beams of light from its remaining gems.
Yeah.
It is the Helm of Brilliance. Twin Steel got it again.
We got a
And
ringer in
Brad
chat.
also guessed it. I should have reviewed them beforehand so I could remember what they were, but I did not.
I like this version better, actually.
I did not remember what they were. That's why I buy spellbook cards.
Yeah, yes.
Those are pretty handy. Those are very handy.
My biggest problem with that game is I like to give away magic items early and often, so I usually customize my own magic items so they're not as powerful as they are in the book, so that I can give out more of them and give them out sooner.
Yeah, I really like what Critical Role did in their.
I had
Sure
it
they
on
were in the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount.
The
Maybe in Tal'Dorei Reborn, but the Vestiges of Divergence.
Yes,
They're legendary items, but when you first get them, they only have a small amount of powers and they level up with you.
yeah. I copied that design and made some magic items for my players that way. Unfortunately, the campaign we used them in, we didn't finish that one, so you need to bring those items back in the next campaign, I think.
Yeah, I like the idea of a personalized sword or shield or something that grows along with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if it's like a sword that you are feeding souls. it is growing in power in a very disturbing
go.
way.
Yeah.
Like level 5, it starts talking to you.
Okay. So the first thing, I love the magic items in Xanathar's Hat of Vermin. That's a great name.
Oh,
It's a
I like
great
that.
name for an
I
item.
like. Yeah, it's funny that kind of replace the pipes of the sewers is like a similar vibe, but it's like I like a slow level magic item that will volunteer creative uses. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first item after Guess the Magic, the first item on our discussion list is the one-page RPG Jam that is going on now. Submissions are open from July 21st to August 25th. So if you are interested in writing a one-pager, these guys here, we all know a little bit about one-pagers. In fact, if you're watching this on Friday, July 26th, there is a new one-page one-shot club episode dropping tomorrow.
Ooh, I look forward to that.
Yeah. It's called Elf with the 10-page backstory. I was the GM. It's probably the most challenging session I've ever run.
We didn't make it easy.
You will see why when you watch it. It was a lot of fun. It was also complete chaos. And yeah, these guys did not make it easy on me. But we all had fun. The one-page RPG Jam, I'll drop a link down in the stuff below after we're done live streaming here. But yeah, so if you're interested in writing, joining this contest, is there a reward?
I'm gonna try to do one. I've got something in mind. I've been putting down ideas for. So, and of course,
I have this concept of like you're scheduling a game night, but I couldn't figure out how to make it fun. So I'm like, no, this is stupid. This is too meta. This is too navel gazy.
So.
I've been thinking of, and I'm gonna say my idea, so don't steal it. You out there watching, don't steal my idea. I want to do a kind of something based on The Bachelor that uses a kind of DCC grinder, like a 0-level grinder. It mixes the grinder and The Bachelor. So like you would have several uh, you would have several contestants trying to win the heart of the bachelor, but it would be like you get eliminated like a 0 level meat grinder in Shadow Dark or DCC.
I will say in that dating context, grinder has a additional meaning. So maybe character
Fair.
funnel. I mean, there's nothing. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's a great concept. I love. It's an unexplored area, right? We're all trying to get like more emotional oomph out of our TTRPGs and like the dating scene, but with murder hobos or superheroes. I would play that game.
Yeah. And now that I've said it, I am gonna have to actually work on it. So that was
Which is why I'm going to ask Brad if he wants to share his idea.
Yeah, so my idea is like kind of inspired by TV shows like Smallville and X-Men Evolution, right? So the idea, I want to use the mechanic from Lasers and Feelings, where you only have the one number, and do like superhero high school kind of thing. You'll have challenges where you're in your costume and you're using your powers, but then you also have challenges where you're out of costume and you have to not use your powers. It's kind of the so I've got some structural ideas I'm playing with how that's going to work. But so in there the idea would be you would throw like two main challenges, for a one shot, right? So you'd have whatever the superpower challenge is, but then you'd also have whatever the high school challenge is.
Isn't that sort of how I haven't played these, so I may be horribly wrong here, but isn't that sort of how the Persona video game series works? Like, you're a high school student, but you also fight monsters. So in the game, you do things like study for tests, and then also fight demons and stuff like that. I may be completely wrong, but
I do
I'm
not
not
know.
familiar with it.
But yeah, my imagination like leaps. So like someone's trying to take over the world, and are you going to prom? Like
Right,
it's
exactly.
really
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Twin Steel says Mask Off. Is that an RPG? Or are you just giving me a cool name?
maybe those are your stats. I feel like popularity is me, or like Riz. I don't know. What's your other stat? Like power, and there's a one-page dungeon thing, which is maybe what Nacho here is thinking of. There's got to be like some cool like cooperative map making. That's something. That's got to be something.
Well, there was Dungeon 23. I remember everybody was talking about last year. I don't
Oh,
know.
we all
Dungeon
did about 6 weeks of that. Yeah,
You're right. It's like going to everybody goes to the gym in January.
Yeah,
well, to be fair, I was pumped about Dungeon 23, and then the OGL happened, and I think that happened to a lot of folks where like that just
Right.
really knocked the wind out of everybody's sails.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe 25. Let's go.
Yeah.
But there have been one-page dungeon contests before, where like you draw a dungeon on the draw a dungeon map, and then you put the adventure all around it, so it's all on one page. That I actually entered a contest, but it was right before COVID, and it was a local contest here at the game store, and part of the winning the contest was people would then play your one shot. So with COVID shutting down everything, that contest got canceled. So I was bummed about that.
Twin Steel mentions The Quiet Year and Beak, Bird, and Bone. I've heard of The Quiet Year. I don't know what Beak, Bird, and Bone is. Do you guys know what that is?
No, that's a who am I thinking of? Rowan Rook and no, somebody
Rowan Atkinson,
systems in my
Mr.
brain.
Bean?
Oh, there's a Mr. Bean one shot. Oh, somebody make that. I want to play that. Somebody do it, please.
The next item on our agenda to talk about is Nimble 5e. I think this is the second edition. It was funded on BackerKit. 100,000 simoleons with $5,000 goal. So I think they did pretty well. I took a quick look at Nimble version 1.91, and I think it's pretty interesting. It's we were just discussing before we hit the record button that we don't know how 5e it is. In a lot of ways, it does seem like a new game because there's different spells, there's different feats, there's different classes to an extent. But it has some beak, feather, and bone, Twin Steel says, from Possible Worlds games. I don't know what that is. I'm going to have to look that up. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, I was just looking it up.
Um, like Nimble 5e has a lot of stuff to try to speed up combat. Like you don't roll to hit, you just roll your damage dice, and if you roll a 1 on your damage dice, you miss.
Which that seemed pretty interesting. My only question though, that means that a dagger doesn't hit as often as, a great axe, right?
And then it's exploding dice for crits, so you're more likely to crit with the dagger. I'm never going to crunch the numbers because someone smarter than me is always going to do it better. So I always kind of wait for someone else to do it. But yeah, dagger's more likely to crit, but more likely to miss. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how the math plays out, but I'd be interested to see. The other thing that I noticed they do, which is something I do, is like I homebrew. They do slot-based encumbrance, and they do shorter rests. So like your short rest is only like 15 minutes, and your long rest is only like 6 hours. Which I find that helps. I do that too, and I find that helps with pacing, right?
Yeah, I've been doing 20-minute short rests, and they happen now. I've been doing...
I've seen.
I did 10 for a while, but 20 just felt like better narratively.
In these games like Nimble and Nimble 5e, and I know that the MCDM, I don't know if they're actually going to put this in the final version of it. Matt Koval made some videos about removing to hit to speed up combat, and in my opinion, rolling to hit isn't what slows down combat. Because it's relatively easy. You roll the die, you add the number. Does it beat the AC? Yes, you hit. Then you roll your damage. It's not that. What really slows down combat, in my opinion, is reactions. That's the thing, especially once you're high level, because then everybody has a reaction. Everybody has Sentinel or Counterspell, opportunity attacks. That's the stuff that makes things take forever.
And
that's the stuff that makes you lose track of where you are.
Right.
Where you spend 5 minutes resolving a situation, then you're like, whose turn is it now? What was that? What just happened?
Yeah. Reactions and bonus actions, and of course with the new version of 5e, you're going to have more things you can do with your action. Like you'll be able to do more than one thing with your action. Some things that used to take bonus actions that now just happen, and then you'll still be able to take a bonus action. So the 2024 D&D is definitely going to move at a slower pace.
Yeah,
I think it's the bloat. At least, I mean, at high level, it's different, but I think the bloat of like people trying to find the right bonus action to use, like trying to maximize your turn, trying to like go through all of your options. It's clunkier, and I don't think more options fixes that. And we'll find out because we got a bunch more now. But Nimble was exciting for that reason.
Yeah, Nimble looks cool.
Another thing that slows down the game is giving players more and more actions to action economy than 3. Some do 4. Yeah, Nimble doesn't have actions, bonus actions, and reactions. They just have 3 action, and like DC 20 has the 4 action economy that's basically lifted from Pathfinder. But one thing I like there is that you can, if you want to save your actions for off turn to take more reactions, you can. Or if you don't care about reactions, you can spend all 4 of them on your turn. I like that flexibility, even though it does go counter to my point about reactions slowing things down. If you want more stuff to do off your turn, especially at high level when you're getting a turn every hour or so, then it seems like that multi-action economy skill challenges will be official again in 5.5.
I've not seen any evidence of that.
It feels like DMG stuff, which we've gotten very little information on so far.
Yeah. I personally love skill challenges. I am working on a skill challenge system for Daggerheart at the moment. I think they're awesome. I don't think they ever should have gotten rid of them. I just think they needed to be. They were too prescripted in
4E.
prescriptive in 4E. Yeah, it would be like, here are the skills you can use. You have minor skills and major skills, and I think that was just too. It was too fiddly. Just run skill challenges, but just let the players use whatever skills they want, and then that opens it up for a lot more narrative. Hey, Dad. Oops.
Oh,
I clicked on the wrong thing.
they're fighting.
We're all clicking. Hey, Dad. Use a lot of your tips and videos to build my confidence in running Pathfinder 2's beginner box for the first time. Any tips on how to speed up do initiative in person?
I don't know how well it would work with Pathfinder 2, but I do static initiative, so that way your monster just has a set number, right? And then the players are rolling to be on the fast round or the slow round. So it goes fast round, monster round, slow round. So that way, what speeds up gameplay that way is I don't have to know what their numbers are, right? I don't have to get everybody's number and then put them all in order. I say roll initiative, they roll. I say, all right, fast round, go. And it's up to whoever 2 or 3 players are on fast round to just decide who's going to go first, right? So it puts more of the initiative tracking on the players, which makes it move faster because there's 5 of them, right? They're all figuring out, hey, let me go first because I wanted, my assassin skill to go off, or, that sort of thing.
I like that a lot, actually. I might steal that. I've used static as just like 10 plus dex, 10 plus initiative. Everyone has their thing. What I used to do a lot was roll initiative once. At the first time we have combat in a session, everyone's excited to roll initiative. We do it, and then that is the order for the rest of the night. And I'm just rolling to see where the monster sits in.
Yeah, that's how they do it in Shadow Dark. You roll initiative at the beginning of the session.
Yeah.
Right, because the dungeon exploration is also done in turn order as well. So you're doing like dungeon turns as well as combat turns. So in that way, it's kind of board gamey in that you're constantly going in this rotation.
And I like poker rules where it's like your seat at the table, and now there's no. I don't need a tool to tell me. It's like we're going counterclockwise or clockwise. The person to your left is on deck. No one's wondering where we're going next.
And in Daggerheart, there is no initiative, but you probably can't just throw that. You can't throw that into Pathfinder because there's a whole system built into Daggerheart to make that work, having to do with tokens and lots of other things that make countdown timers and things that make it work. Because there's no rounds, there's no initiative in Daggerheart. It uses a completely different system.
Yeah, in fact, what makes Pathfinder Second Edition tricky is that you can voluntarily move your position just like down. So like in theory, there's some ideal order for the players. Let them decide what it is, and then like Brad's method of like, did you beat the monster or not? Like group initiative is in a lot of old school games, and that's just each round, which side's going first, and that creates a really interesting situation where like the same side can go twice, and that implies that the next side's going to go. It's interesting, but can tip the scales.
Yeah,
Pathfinder's very well balanced, so I don't love tinkering with it because it's a sports car.
The what was I going to say about that? Oh, the group initiative with 5th edition, at least, I found it was like too powerful for all the players to go at the same time, which is how I ended up doing like the monster as static, and then so you got one group, so you get the benefits of group initiative of like the players can figure out who goes in what order, right? But with 2 groups, they're not just ganging up on the monster on, right? So it's
like
worked
that.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, initiative definitely needs some help because it is when you are in a tense social encounter that is trending toward combat. It's always a bummer when you get to a fight's about to break out. Okay, now let's take 5 minutes to resolve who is going to go in what order. But then also, I played in a Curse of Strahd campaign very briefly a couple of years ago, where it was using Foundry, I think Foundry VTT, I think is the one that's like extremely customizable, where you can add in all your own extensions and modules and stuff. And this DM had everything. Like, it was extremely kitted out. And when he said, "Okay, combat's going to start," there was some module that automatically rolled initiative for everybody, and it was just like a flurry of dice went across the screen, and I was like, "Wait, what's happening?" And then it was just like initiative was built out, and I was like, that was super fast, but also that I kind of missed the feeling of rolling initiative and finding out where I was going to go. It happening in a split second was a little anticlimactic almost. You know, what are you
Yeah,
gonna do?
it's a fine line. There's a lot of cool stuff that you can do in online play. I run a pretty damn lo-fi online game because one, experimenting and learning and onboarding all the different systems on the back end of a Roll20 or a Foundry especially takes a lot of bandwidth. But two, it starts to feel a lot more like a video game and a lot less like a tabletop RPG, and that's not what I'm here for. I'll play a video game if I want to play a video game.
Yeah. Well, the next item on the agenda is something that I'm very curious to hear about, because Brad put this on the list, and it says Brad was wrong.
Yeah.
I actually put that on every list. I'm not.
Well, it made it in this time, Ryan.
Yay.
Yeah. So I was wrong about backwards compatibility, I think. Talking about the 2024 version. Because I got to thinking about this, right? I think it was like Sunday night or Monday. I was tinkering around. I wanted to make a necromancer for the 2024 version just to see how it would work, right? So I started tinkering around with it. I'm like, I don't think this is that hard to do. It's going to be pretty easy to take a subclass from 2014 and put it on a class from 2024. And the first one worked, and I was like, let me see how many more of these I can do. And then I thought better of it before I did all that work. I was like, let me check out Chris at Treant Monk's Temple and see if he's got any new videos, because like if there's anybody who knows the game better than Jeremy Crawford, it's Chris from Treant Monk's Temple. And sure enough, he had a video where he was talking with D4 Deep Dive, and they had both come to that same conclusion, that the backwards compatibility is actually going to be fairly easy. And then either later that day or the next day, Jeremy Crawford started doing all of his promo videos where he's getting interviewed by Ginny D and a bunch of different folks, right? And most of them asked him about backwards compatibility, and when he explained it all, I was like, yeah, that was kind of the conclusion I was coming to, that I don't think it's going to be that hard to use a 2014 subclass with 2024. And the two subclasses I think you wouldn't be able to do it with, which you don't need to with the Assassin. The Assassin is from 2014 would have a hard time working with 2024. But they've already made a new Assassin, so you don't need to use the 2014 Assassin. And the other one is the Shepherd Druid is the other one that won't really work, because it's so dependent on the Conjure Animal spell. And that spell has changed for 2024.
Yeah, I think. Hey, I don't think it's a matter of. I think it's more about trust than it is about like comprehension. At least for most of us, they've been saying it's all going to be backwards compatible, and the consensus feeling was bullshit. Well, I'll believe it when I see it.
Right.
And these guys, D4 Cantrips and Tria Monk, one, they know what they're talking about, and two, they have seen it. They can't talk about it because they are under NDA or something.
Right.
They've had the new PHB for a while, and when these guys come out and say yes, it's doable, I'm like, okay, cool. They're not trying to sell it to me. They are telling me the truth as far as they understand it, and that's the line, is that if it hasn't been reworked, it'll click right in. So if the subclass is in the 2024 one, the old one is defunct. You can only use the 2014 book to make it still, but it really feels like that's going to be worse next to the new version of it. But all these subclasses still being viable, I like on the face of it because we're not being lied to. I think it's my instinct is it's going to create some opportunities for min-maxing exploits that are going to further complicate things. There's going to be some. It's probably going to be Twilight. I don't know. There's something's come. Peace Cleric is going to be OP. Something there's going to be like something that's too much that people are going to have to think about banning at their tables. But
hey,
otherwise,
Brad, can you sort of sum up what Jeremy Crawford said about backwards compatibility in those Jenny D and other videos?
Yeah. So essentially, there's the way things are written in the 2024 subclass description. It'll tell you if you're using the subclass from 2014, right? That when you get your ability. So basically, because all the new subclasses you get your new subclass at 3rd level, right? So if you're using a subclass from 2014, then you get everything up until 3rd level. So like if I'm making a necromancer, right? The wizard got their subclass at 2nd level in 2014. So when you get to 3rd level in 2024, you would get everything that the necromancer gives you at 2nd level. You would get it at 3rd level, right? And then you would just proceed down the list from there. Like if you're doing a cleric subclass, it gets stuff at 1st and 2nd level, right? Then when you're using a 2024 cleric, you would get everything from 1st and 2nd level at 3rd level when you get your 2024 subclass. Does that make sense?
yes,
Mostly.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that's hard to explain and then going to be like easy in practice. Like your subclass still comes online at 3rd level, and if it said you got this at 2nd level, now you get it at 3rd, and the stuff that comes online at 3rd, and you're good.
Yeah, when I sat down to make a necromancer with the 2014 Player's Handbook subclass and the UA 2024 wizard, it wasn't that hard. It wasn't as hard as it sounded when I actually sat down to do it. And what Jeremy Crawford is saying is that the 2024 book will help you do it as well, because there will be guidance in there.
Yeah.
Ravenlore, I don't think they were ever going to call it a new edition, because they've been talking about this for a year now, and sales of all the current stuff would have just plummeted. Like Curse of Strahd is still selling well on Amazon. I don't know how well it's selling on D&D Beyond Marketplace, but like it's still ranking pretty well on Amazon. So they don't want to kill Curse of Strahd. They don't want to kill sales of, all the other books that are still doing well, which they would have if they had announced 6th edition. They definitely would have seen a huge drop off in sales if they had done that.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Welch mentions the Purple Dragon Knight, and that was one thought I had too. Was like there's so many of the classes from Tasha's that are just getting ported right into 2024, and now that we found out that backwards compatibility is viable, like I don't know why they didn't just leave the Tasha stuff for the most part alone, because with the backwards compatibility you could just grab those subclasses, and why they didn't use the opportunity to like take a class like Purple Dragon Knight, which was really underpowered in 2014, and so they could have made a good Purple Dragon Knight in 2024 and still had all the Tasha stuff available. But that probably would have been more work for them.
It's
I have to agree. Them uplifting this Tasha stuff to the new Player's Handbook is the most perplexing part of all of this. And I already said my conspiracy theory last week or the week before. that they're going to deprecate Tashas and Xanathars in a year or two. They'll become legacy content. Yeah, I agree. 5.5 is what I'm calling it. I saw somebody the other day call it 5.24, which I don't like at all. I am putting my foot in the ground. We are not allowed to call it 5.24.
All in favor? Aye.
I
If you let them make it 5.24, 5.25 is around the corner, and then you got to buy a new one every year. I see you people who make Magic the Gathering.
Yeah, or just download the D&D Beyond update every year, right?
Well, yes.
They're going to turn it into FIFA or Madden.
Oh God,
New
no!
one every year.
No,
5.69. Come on, Ember. Mike, knock it off. Knock it off, Mike.
That's too funny.
What I don't like, there's a few things I don't like, but what it grinds in my gear is whatever they talk about grinding against in the old versions. The concept that the Tasha stuff is new, right? Somebody asked him, like, what's your favorite class, or like what class changed the most? Dungeon dudes? Someone asked Crawford what class got the biggest glow up. And he said monk. I was like, yes. It's like also ranger. And I was like, what? And they're taking, and then there's like explanation, like all that Tasha, like 2014 versus 2024, because they took all the stuff from Tasha's. And it's like, well, it's just the Tasha's one. Like it doesn't feel new to me. I don't know if most of your player base feels the impact. Like, yeah, Tasha's fixed ranger in a big way. Absolutely agreed. I'm not giving you credit for that twice though.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's just me.
Yeah. Well, and I think the 2024 Ranger, we'll have to see how it actually plays at the table. I think mechanically it's going to perform fine. I think it's going to deal enough damage to keep pace with the other martial classes. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be fun to play. And that seems to be the drawback for the Ranger, is like, we've talked about that before. Just that there's
vibes.
Yeah, the Ranger doesn't have the right vibes.
Yeah. You broke the vibes, Watsy. You broke the vibes.
Yeah. Well, I would say the Ranger hasn't had great vibes in other editions as well. So maybe we just don't need a Ranger.
Yeah, there's no reason the Ranger couldn't be a fighter or barbarian subclass.
Yeah.
Or maybe
that might fix monk. A lot of it. That might fix a lot of it, honestly. Give me like a Beastmaster Barb, and I don't know, give me more of like a Gishi fighter, and that gets us. I'd be satisfied with that in a way that I'm not with the class.
Yeah.
Carver's comment was in response to the backlash. Well, he fumbled it.
That's it. I mean, I think everything that he's saying has been carefully thought out. And I don't blame the guy, right? Hate the game, not the player. But I don't take what he says at face value.
Yeah. Well, and he's also pretty close to it, right? He designed the stuff, right? He's gonna defend it. He's personally invested.
That's insightful. And he thinks it's great, and he thinks it's easy, right? Everything looks backwards compatible when you built the machine, right? That's insightful, actually. Yeah.
Twin Steel has the right of it here. Travel and survival need to be front and center for the Ranger to shine. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and taking away Natural Explorer, taking away favorite enemy, taking away favorite terrain. They're all steps in the wrong direction. If, to fix the Ranger, they fix the Ranger's damage. Damage is better. But it's not good enough.
Yeah, that was the core of my rant 2 weeks ago. Is to fix Ranger, you need to fix 5e, and you need to make exploration matter, and you can't do that inside the. I don't know if you can do that inside the PHB.
Yeah. So take out all those, and how is it a Ranger anymore? Well, they're saying their argument is that they get more nature-y spells, which, yeah, Mike. In the UA, when they had the class groups, the ranger, the rogue, and the bard were in the expert class, which meant they all got expertise in things, and that was at least a decent. It seemed like a step in the right direction for the ranger to get, expertise in survival, expertise in nature, expertise in stealth, expertise in perception. That they should, but they didn't go with. It doesn't look like they're going with the class group kind of idea. They haven't talked about those in a while.
Mm-mm.
There was nothing about the class groups in the videos.
Right.
So I think the class groups are also pretty tied to spell groups. I don't think they're going with spell groups. They decided to go back to class-based spell lists.
I liked those spell groups. I want things to feel different.
Yeah.
I want things to feel more different.
Yeah.
I don't want the best version of everything to be a wizard who took a couple levels of bard or something. I want everything to feel distinct. And we don't get that.
Yeah.
Well, but don't this class-specific spell lists make things more distinct? Because before there were like 3 spell lists, and the different spellcasters all drew off of the same 3 spell lists, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Again, I don't know. I'm vacillating back and forth between like optimism and ready to be defeated. I hope that they do. We haven't seen the full kit out of, or at least us peons down here who haven't gotten our PHBs yet.
Well,
haven't gotten the full kits.
We're not bitter about it though, or anything.
No, it's fine.
The class spell group, the spell groups was trending more toward a class-less system where you could have your druid and have your cleric and build them however you wanted. Because you had access to more spells that other classes were exclusive to other classes before. But the class spell lists are trending more toward, we want the cleric to feel separate from the druid, and we want the ranger to feel separate from that, to give each class their own identity.
Yeah. Well, Ryan, isn't that what you were saying though? Is that you preferred it that way?
Yes, and if that's the way it works out, great.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah,
and it seems the subclasses are doing. It feels like they're doing that inside the subclasses. Like I'm confident that's in the design. So yeah, maybe that actually translates out into the classes. Because like what were we? It's like the sorcerers spell lists you can't swap out for other ones now. Like it seems. Yeah, I'm hopeful for that.
Well, and I think overall, like you're still going to have a tier list, right? And I think the wizard and the sorcerer are going to be pretty close to the top, and now the ranger and the rogue are going to be on the bottom. But the gaps between the tiers significantly smaller. It's not like ranger was clearly, below the other classes, and the monk was clearly below the ranger, right? Before. So I think you're still going to be able to notice a difference, but it's not going to be a big difference. I think the difference is really small.
Monk might be the best martial class now, because at level 10, when your fighter still only has 2 attacks, the monk has 5, because they get 3 flurry of blow strikes at level 10. So they're doing more than twice the number of attacks of a 10th level fighter. A 10th level monk. They went so far overboard on the monk in the other direction that I don't know why you'd want to pick a fighter over a monk now, especially since they have so many more weapon proficiencies.
Well, but the fighter gets your weapon mastery stuff, so
Monk doesn't get weapon mastery?
It did. I made the same mistake last conversation. It did at a certain point, but now, yeah, which I think I like. It doesn't make sense narratively, but I think mechanically, like gating that, I think again creates that distinction between the classes.
Yeah. So it's possible the monk might output more damage if they're hitting on all of those attacks, right? But the fighter's still going to do a decent amount of damage, and then they're going to impose some other ability, like with the weapon mastery stuff, like knocking the opponent down or shoving them or something like that.
Yeah,
So Odin's eye patch here wants to know if we have an opinion on the best version of the Ranger.
In Shadow Darks, I really like Shadow Darks Ranger.
What do you like about it?
It's not a spellcaster. It's like a herbalist. So you can brew like these, I forget what they call them. But you brew these little potion like effects that you can do as a ranger, but they're not an actual spellcaster. I really like Shadow Darks Ranger.
I like the hunter and the friar. A friar's halfway between a ranger and a cleric, but in Dolmenwood. But because exploration's so important, so like the hunter really shines because like you can get lost and it sucks. You need to get food, and he's good at that. It's great to find some random mushroom somewhere because it's going to have some like crazy benefit or hilarious side effects. So again, it's system based more than class based there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Crusade Games ask here about the 2014 Ranger being really that far behind. I can speak to this. I'm playing a 16th level Ranger in a campaign right now, in a Dungeon of the Mad Mage campaign, and I love my Ranger. He is a Drake Warden Ranger, which is from Fizzbands, which is like an upgraded Beastmaster, because the Beastmaster was always super lame because you have to use your action to make your beast attack. But with the Drake Warden Ranger, I can use a bonus action. So my Ranger has Sharpshooter. I'm dishing out huge amounts of damage with my action plus my bonus action. My Drake is attacking every turn, so I'm one of the highest dealing damage people in the party. And that Drake Warden Ranger feels pretty awesome. But I can't. That's the only Ranger subclass I've ever played, so I can't really speak to the other ones.
Yeah,
I had some Gloomstalkers at my tables that put up numbers. But again, they're counting that as 2024 Ranger now, which all of the advances that they've made get folded into the new. I don't know. I don't like it's fuzzy math. I don't like what they're doing with the accounting of it all.
Yeah. Well, I think the Hunter Ranger was good. If we're talking the original 2014, I think the Hunter Ranger was good if you built it a particular way, but it didn't. But doing it that way meant that you didn't really have choices, right? Because remember the Hunter Ranger, you had different options you would choose at a different level, but it was, if you played the Ranger much, you would know which ones of those were going to be most effective, so you really didn't have a lot of those choices. So there was a way to build a good Ranger with the Ranger Hunter and do good damage and all that, but there wasn't a lot of choice to it. But ultimately 5e is a pretty well balanced game. The way of the 4 elements monk being the one outlier, I think. So even in talking about the gaps in 2014, the gaps weren't that big. But now my point was that in 2024, those gaps are going to be even smaller.
Yeah. Here, Fred from How to RPG is asking us what is the topic today, which is a great segue to get into what is actually probably supposed to be our main topic before we spent the last 20 minutes further complaining about the Ranger.
We've only done that in 3 episodes, Jim. Come on.
We got a lot of thoughts about the Ranger, and you're going to hear them all.
Do it 3 more.
But there has been some tidbits from Wizards of the Coast about updated species in the 2024 Player's Handbook. What they used to call races that they are now calling species, and there are 10. Whereas I believe there were just 6 or 7 in the vanilla PHB from 2014. Right? Is that right? 7. So let me go through some of this information here. The Azamar is now a species in the core rules, based on the Azamar from Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse, which is, for the last several years, I've only played characters from Mordenkainen Presents Monsters of the Multiverse. That's where you get all your good stuff, like Herongon, like Bugbear, lots of great stuff in there. Asimars get Celestial Revelation. You can select the option each time you transform. Before you had to, they can do some different things. Did they explain them down here? Yeah, so they can do basically 3 different things before you'd have to pick it at level 1 or level 3, and then that was just your thing, but now you can pick it anytime you activate it, and one does, I'm not remembering exactly, one gives you like extra necrotic damage. I think one does radiant damage.
Yeah, I think it's light and radiant. It's necrotic and vibes. I think wings. Do you get wings? I think it said wings
Yes.
just now. I think you fly.
Yeah, one of them is wings, but it only lasts for like a round. I don't think it's very short lasted rings. Inner Radiance, previously radiant consumption. This still deals radiant damage equal to proficiency bonus with a 10 for radius, but the extra radiant damage on one attack returns a move to the broader Celestial Revelation feature. So, Aasimar now a base species in the book. Any thoughts on this, guys?
I like the Aasimar being in the base because it, and they've said this, that they put it in there to counterbalance the Tiefling, right? Like thematically. So I like that. And I'm one who doesn't get bothered by flying player characters, so I didn't see the need to put in those restrictions around flying. But overall, I think it's a fine class design. I do like, well, I guess and we see that with the Dragonborn next, right? Is the getting more abilities as you get higher level. I think is cool for some of the races that get that.
Ryan, Twin Steel says Asmars came up in your latest video. What do you have to say about them?
Well, actually, Stephanie had a lot to say about them.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, she enjoys playing them. Yeah, I don't want to spend a lot of time plugging stuff, but go watch that because she's great. Go watch her channel. Stephanie I might be an Aasimar. She is definitely, there's some sort of radiance coming off of her. She's great people. Go spend time hanging out with her and watching her stuff.
That's Stephanie Plays Games.
Stephanie Plays Games.
Yeah, I also did an interview with her that will be coming out later in August. All right, Dragonborn, which has been one of the most revised species ever since they were introduced. There's like 50 different versions of them floating around out there. But now the breath weapon, they've decided that the Fizzban's Treasury of Dragons is the best Dragonborn. So now they're Tasha-ing it and just making it a they're just saying that it was base all along. About Stephanie Plays Games. She is really killing it on her channel. She has over 1,000 subs and 17 videos, which is pretty crazy.
It's why I did not. Yeah, she's pro. I didn't realize until I was about to interview her that she's also new. I was just she's making great stuff.
Wow, I just got an alert that 2 Attack of Viola is getting a $212 million extension. Cha-ching.
Wow.
I should have been a quarterback.
Do
it.
All right.
That has nothing to do
we gotta
with...
change the topic here because I'm not making money on this.
So
talking about...
now the big thing about the breath weapon is it used to take your whole action, and now it can be used as part of your attack action. So if you have extra attack, it only takes up one of your attacks.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a Dragonborn fighter at level 11, you can make a breath weapon attack and still swing your sword 2 more times, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah. And that's how the game's going to take longer. Go back to our original point, right?
I think the problem with Dragonborn is that they have to be the best. If you're going to put a dragon dude in the game, it's got to be the best, and everyone's going to be upset if it ain't. I don't like having a best thing, But if there's gonna be one, it's got to be the dragon guys, right? Am I alone in that?
I mean, that's a valid point.
Yeah.
But I mean, dragon is in the name of the game, so if like people want to come to the game and play a dragon, I get it.
Yeah. Also at level 5, you get spectral wings, and you can fly for 10 minutes once per long rest. Which I'm glad that they gave the flight at level 5, so it's not a... Because level 5 seems fair to fly, you know.
Yeah.
Your wizard gets 3rd level spells and can cast fly at 5th level. It's not broken like an Aarakocra or an Owlin that can just fly right away from level 1. I think level 5 to be able to fly is fair, especially since you can only do it 10 minutes once per day, basically.
Yeah. Again, I don't think you need that limitation. I'd be fine. By level 5, just let them fly all the time. I've had Aarakocra players in my game, and it didn't break anything for me. They learned real quick that you don't want to drop to 0 hit points when you're in the air. You know, so it's risk reward, right?
So the dwarf. Now, everyone except for the Goliath now has a speed of 30 feet, which I find this amusing that they were like, we're going to standardize all movement speeds, except for the Goliath, you get more. Well, now everybody wants 35 feet.
I have feelings about that.
Let's
I
hear
don't
it. What are your feelings, Ryan?
I don't like it. You know, like, okay, you want it makes sense. Like, it makes sense physically that the gnome would have a smaller stride, would have less movement speed. You want to hand wave that? You want to ignore that? Cool, it's a game. But why is the guy who's a giant going faster? I don't know. I know why you get there because we voted on this, and like if you ask the players and you poll, you're gonna get these kinds of results. But that's a little frustrating to me. You're gonna go with realism, or you're gonna go with fun. To be consistent.
It would make sense to me for small creatures to have 25-foot speed, medium creatures to have 30, and large creatures to have 35, just to account for stride length, right? Because small creatures do get other benefits. You know, when you're a small creature, you can move through the space of a medium or large creature, which medium or large creatures can't do that. I don't know if a medium creature can move through the space of a large creature. And I know a small creature can.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't think a medium creature can move through a large creature. Was that what you were asking?
Yep.
Yeah. So it seems like the 25-foot movement speed, it gets balanced there by being able to move through the space of a larger creature. And some small creatures can hide behind larger creatures. I let players do that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they're trying to hide behind their buddy who's a bigger creature, I'll allow that to happen. Polling players about species speed is just foolish. Yeah, you know, you poll players about everything, and they're like, what are they going to say? We want more stuff.
Yeah. No.
Nobody ever said, take away stuff, give us less stuff. You know, nobody ever said the paladin was OP except for the dungeon masters filling out those surveys.
Right. Yeah. Notice that I think the dwarf has the most lackluster stuff on the list. Like the dwarf, I mean, the dwarf's new stone cunning where you can get tremor sense, like that's cool. But beyond that, like, what is the dwarf getting?
Well, I don't know what their dark vision was before, but 120 feet is pretty good.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that's on par with, I think, pretty much like only the drow had that kind of dark vision before, and they may not have even had a full 120 feet. But pretty much you got to get dark vision out to that kind of range. You have to either be a Twilight Cleric and get your big old 300, your way OP 300 dark vision, or be a Warlock with Eldritch Sight.
Is it Devil's Sight?
What it's called.
Or is Devil's Sight the other one?
Yeah, you're right. Devil's
Devil's
Sight. Yeah, to get 120 feet of dark vision and seeing in magical darkness. That is a really awesome feature.
Yeah, so 120 feet is cool. I like Tremor Sense. It's Tremor Sense feels worse because you replace the bad thing with it almost, and that's just some weird psychological thing, where it's just like, well, you gave me Stone Cutting first, so Tremor Sense is dope, but you tried to give me Stone Cutting, which I wanted to be good. I've tried to find ways to help players use it. It's like, oh yeah, man, the guys who made this door knew what they were doing, but like it's yeah.
Yeah. The under the elf, the drow no longer has sunlight sensitivity. I don't know. They should just compensate by giving them longer dark vision. Unshelled pity. Yes, you're live. This is us. We're here.
Hey,
We're all actually live. Except for Ryan, he's computer generated. He couldn't make it with us today. But his
I am
AI
AI.
is doing very well. He sounds incredibly lifelike.
Better than the real thing. I don't think we're gonna have Ryan back.
Um,
Kill all
High Elf
humans.
gets
Oh, excuse me.
High Elf gets prestidigitation. The Wood Elf gets Druidcraft. And each elf variant has associated pair of spells gained at level 3 and level 5. I do like this ability. Yeah, Twin Steel, they drop sunlight sensitivity for the drow. I like the idea of leveling up and getting more species abilities as you level up. I know there were some instances of that in 2014. Like I think it was Drow who would get Darkness spell at level 2 or maybe level 5, and they would get a different spell when they leveled up. But this is more of a like DC 20 has this we talked about before, where DC 20 has points you can spend on racial abilities, and you get more points to spend as you level up, which it makes sense. As you level up, you get more elfier. You can do more elfy things.
Yeah, it's like you're getting more powerful by tapping further into whatever the source is of your racial magic, right? Or your species magic.
Yeah. Fred doesn't like species level features. That's fair. Any other thoughts on the elf? We get down to Gnome.
Elf might be like a must take for a lot of situations.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to see some spellcaster builds. I'm sure optimizers are looking at that 5th level elf ability where you can like swap out spells. I'm sure there's going to be a way to
Yeah,
min max that somehow.
extra spells, extra slots. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
I wonder if the Eladrin is going to change it all, because when I play an elf, I don't usually play an elf, but when I do, I go Eladrin. I'm the most interesting T&D player in the world. I go Eladrin because their ability to teleport as the phase step is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Teleporting as a bonus action, and depending on your Eladrin season, you could teleport somebody else as a bonus action. It's free Misty Step.
That's the stuff I like, where the mechanic is tied into the character's portrayal, right? Like that seasonality of it all, where it's like, it's summer, I'm angry, I'm throwing off heat, my friend died, it's winter now.
Yeah.
I really like them.
One of the most favorite characters I've played in 5th edition was an Eladrin, and I played it just like that, where like, you know, embracing that theme of the emotion connected to the season. And I was playing a sorcerer, and the DM even let me pick different sorcerer spell lists. So my spell list would switch depending on what season I was aligned with. But yeah, I'm curious because a lot of that design element from the Eladrin's phase step is now built into the Fey Warlock. So I'm curious what it would look like if you were to take the old Eladrin species and then play them as the new Warlock Fey pack, right?
That is interesting. Is there going to be guidance on using species from older books with new classes? I haven't seen anything about that.
They
We've
said
heard.
they said it
We've
was going
heard.
to be in the. Sorry, Ryan.
You go.
They said it was going to be in the Dungeon Master's Guide, so we won't see it right away.
There's
Okay.
been talk that if you get something twice, you don't. you
That
get
too,
you get
right.
it you get it once. If you get it from two places, you have to choose one, and I think the 2024 one is the default. So you can't like double dip by mixing and matching.
Yeah, so I'd have to compare what is the ability that did they use the same name for that ability when they put it in the new Warlock subclass.
Yeah.
Unchilled Pity, we're talking about the Eladrin, Eladrin. I'm not actually sure what book they're from. They may be from Mordenkainen Presents.
Canonic, at least Forgotten Realms wise, they're elves who never left the Feywild. So they're more the elfiest elf.
Right.
Elfiest elf. The gnome speed is now 30 feet. Forest gnome speak with small beasts has been replaced by speak with animal spell. That's better. Spell is always prepared. You can cast it without a spell slot. Proficiency bonus times per day. You can cast it with spell slots available to your character class. The rock gnome gets mending and prestidige. Tinker trait has been reworked. Its effects are based on prestidigitation. You can have up to 3 devices at a time. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if they've given us all the information we need there to understand what tinkering has done with the gnome. Let's see if there's more info about it down here.
I'm gonna say something that might be
Please.
unpopular. I like gnomes. I know
Oh.
they're hated by some. I don't see it.
I like gnomes. In fact, I kind of wish halflings weren't in the game and gnomes got more attention.
I do like their advantage on int, wisdom, and charisma saving throws. That's very nice. That's the gnome cunning, I think, is what they call that.
Yeah, the David the Gnome dopeness.
Yeah.
Gnomes are heckin' great.
Yeah. See, these are my people. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, everybody loves gnomes.
Everybody loves gnomes.
Everybody loves gnomes.
It's a meme, I guess. People hate gnomes, but I like the weird little guy. Give me the weird little guy. I want a kobold or a gnome. Let's go.
Yeah, I don't need halflings. I feel like hobbits belong in what you call it, Lord of the Rings, and Kinder belong in Dragonlance. I don't need them anywhere else.
So the Goliath is one of the 3 new species from Monsters of the Multiverse. 35-foot speed, which we've already talked about, and they have a giant ancestry, which gives different benefits. Does it say exactly what the benefits are? Descendant of fire giants can add 1d10, can add additional d10 of fire damage to an attack roll. I think it said it was proficiency bonus times per day. Stone giant can use a reaction when you take a damage. Roll a d12, add your con mod, reduce the damage by that amount. Yeah, each of these times can be used a number of times equal to proficiency Baroness.
So leaning into the deeper connection to giants and giving them like flavor from whatever giant they're connected to, be it hill or stone or fire or whatever. I like that. That's kind of cool. Thematically.
Super cool.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. It feels imbalanced, but that's because I also like dwarves and they did them dirty. But like, that's dope.
Yeah, and that's what I meant about the dwarf. Like, I think the dwarf is serviceable with its tremor sense and its extra long dark vision, but it just doesn't seem fun, right? Where like the Goliath sounds a lot more fun to play than a dwarf now.
Yeah.
Same with Dragonborn. You know, you're breathing fire and getting wings.
I might play a Goliath that's actually 3 dwarves in a trench coat. Something doesn't work around here.
That's perfect. So you play a dwarf and get all the mechanical benefits of a Goliath.
Yeah, exactly.
3 dwarves in a trench coat. I love it.
It's a big trench coat.
Do the Goliath features make sense? Well, they get the large form at level 5, which is basically the Dwergar playable species had. I played in a campaign with a guy who played a Dwergar, and he would always get swole for combat. So yeah, they can get advantage on strength checks. It's basically like a rage to become larger for 10 minutes and get 10 more movement speed, 45 feet. Playing a Goliath monk would be pretty crazy, or a Goliath barbarian. They would be looking at like 55, 65 speed, which is pretty crazy. Powerful build, formerly Little Giant, but they didn't like being referred to that way. The Goliaths were offended. No longer grants proficiency in athletics, but you get advantage on saving throws made to end the grapple condition, and increased carrying capacity. Nobody cares about carrying capacity. Do either of you use encumbrance or play in campaigns that use encumbrance?
I use a slot-based system. So
Okay.
So what I would do for this, if one of my players played Goliath, I would give them extra slots. But yeah, I use a slot-based system. Because otherwise, encumbrance is it's unnecessary math. But the slot-based works well.
Brad actually sold me on slot based, and there's a very clean version in Old School Essentials Dolmenwood that I've been using in one of my games, and like it sings. It's so good because it matters what you're doing, it matters what you're carrying, and I'm not doing math about it. It's just how many do you have? Oh, now you're slow, and now you're screwed. Now you got to get rid of stuff.
There's a lot of systems that have that. Like Knave has that, and I think Shadow Dark has that. I first saw it in Mouse Ritter, which is one of those games that I've always fantasized about playing, but I probably never will.
I just want to be a little dude with like a button and a sewing needle. Like, let's go.
Exactly.
So
yeah,
good.
Mouse Ritter sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, but with Mouse Ritter, you actually have the printable character sheets. Have actually the slots are on the sheet, and you print out your little things, or you can use tokens, and you put them on there. It's adorable. Halflings, which we all, I don't know if I agree that I hate halflings, but I get it. They all get all the things now, so I guess there's not subspecies for halflings anymore. They all get brave, nimbleness, luck, naturally stealthy, 30 feet of speed. Because before there was the stout halfling, and there was, I can't remember what the other
Lightfoot.
halfling was called. Lightfoot, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
strange to me that they did that to the halflings. They did that to the dwarfs. They condensed them, and then they're like, every Goliath is different. It's like, I don't know. It feels like different people designed these or something.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's because like the halfling and the dwarf are iconic, and they figure people are gonna play them anyway. I don't know. I don't know why Oh no, I actually do remember now. Jeremy Crawford said they wanted to put some species in the game that were straightforward to make it easier on new players. So that way, so the halfling and the dwarf are like now they're the suggested species for new players. That was his. Yeah, I remember him saying that at one point.
Well, that makes sense, because when the person's like, I'm new to D&D, I want to be Frodo.
Okay.
You're like, all right, here, you're a halfling rogue then.
Yeah.
You're a halfling fighter.
I want to be
Frodo.
Gimli. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Humans.
The part I was born to play.
So basically, they've taken the 2014 variant human, slapped a coat of paint on it, and called it the 2024 human. But you also get inspiration every single day when you wake up, because being a human is freaking awesome. So you just feel how awesome you are every day you wake up.
Yep.
You
I'm
just
an
wake up
awesome
feeling
human.
your privilege.
Yep. That's what I'm about to say. I'm an awesome human making the world submit to my whims.
You get an extra proficiency in a skill because you're an awesome human, and you get 2 feats, because everybody gets 1 feat now. What they call the origin feats, the feats that you are accessible to level 1 characters. And these are not, if I'm remembering right, these are not the feats that give you a plus bonus to an ability.
Mhm.
Those start at level 4, I think, right? Pretty
They
sure.
went the Pathfinder route of like, there's categories of feet now.
Right. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah, so the origin feats aren't as potent as the rest of the feats.
Yeah, origin feats are things like tough is one I remember. That was an origin feat
Yeah.
to give you a couple
points.
extra hit points.
Yeah.
And the orc, this is a new one. They're no longer half orcs, half elves. They're no longer half things. You can just be full on orc. Adrenaline rush, what does adrenaline rush do? I just looked this up the other day.
It's a dash, I think.
Yeah, it's
Dash
that
and temporary
aggressive,
hit points.
basically.
Yeah, the monster manual orcs get aggressive, right? So
But you get temp HP.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So you get it back after short rest. You get 120 feet of dark vision.
Oh, I missed that.
Orcs no longer have powerful build. I don't remember that powerful build is carrying capacity. And
Right, yeah,
does it do
yeah.
anything else?
Yeah, it was just carrying capacity. So they took that away from the orc, I guess, to make the Goliath even more special. But yeah, Twin Steel, they're really packing on a lot of abilities into these. But I think they're doing that because, there's been complaints that the species aren't different enough, right? That's been an ongoing complaint that because of the lore of Forgotten Realms, everybody lives in these big city-states that are multicultural, and so the races don't feel distinct. It's been a complaint for a long time. And that's also that complaint has paralleled the fact that they're taking away the modifier bonuses, the ability score bonuses, from the species. So I think they're trying to make up for taking away those ability score bonuses by giving you a bunch of little juicy tidbits for your species.
Yeah. And Cambo Ninja, thank you. That's very sweet of you.
Well,
I'm feeling you might be related to one of us. If
thanks,
you are,
Mom.
it's good to see you. Thanks, cousin.
Sorry,
cousin Chad.
Kevin.
All right, and finally, Tiefling. Now you get to choose one of three lower planes: abyssal, chthonic. It's a lot of consonants right in a row. Or infernal.
That's how you know it's evil.
Because good things have more vowels, like Hawaii.
Anything that's not Russian.
Or German. There you go. The Germans love their... Twin Steel says it's chthonic.
Like Cthulhu.
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Associated damage resistance and a pair of spells level 3 and level 5. Each spell is always prepared to be cast without available or cast with the ones without a spell slot. And I think they say more things about tieflings down here.
I think Tieflings and yeah, there you go.
Wood Elf gets Long Strider. Chthonic Tiefling gets False Life at level 3. That's a pretty good low level spell. Not so much at higher levels. Ray of Enfeeblement at level 5. The 3 Tiefling lineages also gain resistance and appropriate damage type, and Thaumaturgy. And they each get their own special, unique cantrip. Thoughts on Tieflings? There's some pictures of some doing their Tiefling dirty business.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Goliath elf Tiefling Dragonborn to a degree, like versatility. It's weird to me that there's basic options.
Yeah.
It's strange to me that there are two clearly distinct tiers of species now.
Yeah, the halfling and the dwarf are pretty lackluster as far as like cool flavor, right?
Yeah, and we want to make it easy on new players to fulfill their fantasy. Elf is now crazy. Like, wait, what?
Twin Steel says that the K is silent, so it's phonic.
Oh, I will always make it sound like Cthulhu. I'm
not gonna
confident
remember
enough
that,
to accept being wrong. Down.
Tiefling's evil. I think they probably look it.
Nobody's anything, which I am okay with. I know that's upsetting for some people. and I think we can still have the world see you in a particular way depending on how you're world building. Like the shopkeeper can look at you askance because you have demon blood. But I think not letting people be whatever they want to be doesn't work. Like mechanically forcing people to be a certain type of character, I don't love. I understand people feel differently about that. But alignment does. If alignment mattered, maybe I would be more sympathetic to that conversation. But alignment doesn't do anything anymore, really. So like story wise, yeah, you can be Drist. You can be an evil race as a good guy. So why codify it when it's not doing anything anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in my experience, every player I've had play a tiefling has always played them very edgy. So there's a style that comes with tiefling. I think that even though they're not evil, like everybody I've known who plays a tiefling plays them, you know, like flirting with the dark side, or edgy, or you know,
Like they listen to the Smiths.
yeah, exactly.
That's exactly. Oh man.
Smiths are my favorite band.
Yeah, every tiefling bard has like a sleeve of Morrissey quotes. Let's go. And that's cool, man. I'm here for it. It's fine. But everyone wants to be edgy. Most people don't want to be evil. Well, some of my players do. But
Speaking of edgy characters, tune in tomorrow to watch Elf with the 10-page backstory. Our actual play we recorded a couple weeks ago is dropping tomorrow. It is nothing but edgelords. Oops, all edgelords. That is what is.
Gang, I got it. This isn't me pitching anything. Like, I have so much fun. Like, it is difficult for me to play on these streams because I am so entertained by everybody else that I forget that I am I'm actively supposed to participate and pull my weight sometimes, a lot of times. To watch, if you don't know what a one-page one-shot feels like, you want to bring new people into TTRPGs, this is a good little way to dip into it. And like, my goodness, the other folks there are incredible. You guys are nuts. Like, it's just I have imposter syndrome sometimes on those streams. You guys, it's a lot of fun. Check it out.
Mr. Welch, I agree with you about alignment specific mechanics. I actually wrote a supplement about this that would give people basically feats for certain alignments. And it still needs some tweaking, but I was trying to make alignment useful because it's really not, unless I think it's useful for NPCs. It's a good shorthand for NPCs and for monsters, for adversaries. And just like Blue Sasquatch, I also like sharks.
I like sharks. Yeah, I maybe should clarify. I'm not against alignment being mechanically meaningful. I'm just acknowledging that it isn't in 5.5, and it is going to be less so in 5.5. At least as far as PCs go. Like I like good evil. I like order chaos. Honestly, I like a little bit of the ambiguity in there. Like I like, in Dolmenwood, that's a big deal. I like, how do you view the universe, and that's going to change the way things respond to you, including magic items and doors. Like, yeah, I'm here for it, but it's not in what we're talking about today.
Yeah. As a DM, I use alignment when I build my factions. So, like, I specifically think of, okay, this faction is mostly lawful evil, and this faction's mostly chaotic neutral, right? Like, so I still use alignment for a world building sense, but yeah, players don't really engage with it much at all.
I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's an air conditioner freaking out outside.
No.
Do not hear it.
Not picking it up. But
Mr. Welch, that alignment thing I wrote, I just had to look it up because I couldn't remember the title. It's on the DM's Guild. It's called Alignment Boons 5e Alignment Alternative. And you can get it for free if you want. You can enter $0 if you want it for free.
Give him $1, guys. Come on. Shell out some.
I'm currently working on a video series on the Lindor Isles. And
I saw the first one. I knew nothing about that. You got me. You got me hooked too.
And in the third adventure, the Deep Dwarven Delve, there's portals that are alignment based, and there's some alignment based weapons in that adventure. And so going through that to do that series, I was thinking more about like how can you use alignment mechanically, like when you're designing dungeons and that sort of stuff. So it's been a long time since I played those AD&D adventures where alignment would have effects like that.
Yeah, and I recall in Tomb of Horrors, there's a room you go in where it flips your alignment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No, there's a room where you go in and it flips your gender, which is a little weird in modern day, but that was a thing. But I think there was also a room where it would change your alignment too.
Yeah, I think so. That one problem with some of the alignment stuff that I remember having in playing AD&D is I don't know if it was intentional. Maybe with Tomb of Horrors, maybe it was, but there were times where I felt like DMs would use alignment shenanigans to mess with clerics and paladins, like taking away their powers because they're doing something against their alignment. And I just remember that being a annoyance that people would complain about back in the AD&D days.
Blue Sasquatch is yelling at you, Ryan, for some reason.
I'm trying to what did I say? I say a lot of crap in here. I'm sorry. I apologize if was it problematic? What did I do? What did I do, guys?
Also, this is important. Fred from How to RPG says, trying to jump between all of your live stream feeds. See, Fred, here's what you're going to do. You're going to open up 3 separate windows, one for each of us, and just mute 2 of them. So you only have to listen to one, but you have all 3 of them going separately, so we all 3 get the watch time for the YouTube metrics. That's important.
We definitely just violated somebody's terms of service.
Don't tell YouTube we said to do this, though. Shh.
You have a VPN.
Oh, do we have time to get to the last couple of questions? Because I was looking forward to those.
I'm good.
I threw a bunch of stuff on there because I didn't know how much we would get through, but I do have to go in a few minutes. But maybe we can just do the first one there.
Which one was the next one on the list? I don't have mine pulled up.
The next discussion question is, what movie would you most want to turn into a TTRPG campaign?
I mean, the last one that I watched is my honest answer. I'm a little bit of a goldfish when it comes to inspiration. What movie would I want?
I would say Arcane. You guys watch that?
Yes. I didn't watch. There's more of it. I don't know if it's actually out yet. I watched the first season.
Yeah, I don't think the second season's out yet.
Okay. Wonderful world building. Oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean, I played that game a little bit. I know there's like a lot more to it that I don't know about, but like, whoa, what a show. Great stuff.
I saw the first episode or 2 of that, I think, and I liked it, but it was just one of those that just fell off and I didn't get back to it.
I like the idea of Arcana Punk. I think Arcana Punk is far cooler than steampunk, just my take. But I like the kind of like that little mix of like science fantasy there. I would like, and I don't know that there's that many RPGs that have that science fantasy.
No, I think that's why Eberron. People who like Eberron love Eberron, and I see it. I mean, that's got a foot in both worlds, kind of, but
yeah. I don't know. For whatever reason, Eberron never really hit me. Like, I don't know. It doesn't fit for me for some reason. I haven't figured out why, but it never
it's like
has.
grittier, right? It's like post-war.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my problem with Eberron?
Sure.
Yeah.
I love the idea of Eberron, this idea of future magic society, society where you take the effects of magic and progress it 500 years to see what effect it would have on society. I love the idea of that. I love the idea of the pulp action. The problem I have with Eberron is I've sat down to read the Eberron book like 5 or 6 times, and each time I get to the houses, the dragon houses, I quit because there's 12 of them. 12 factions is too many factions. It's too many. 12 of a thing is too many of a thing. And I said this in a video once, and somebody commented, well, you really only need to know 4 or 5 of the houses. And I was like, that's even worse. Because if 4 or 5 of them are important, why are you going to make me learn 12? It's too many. 12 houses is too many houses.
Yeah.
That's my Eberron rant.
I feel like the new Eberron book could have benefited from stealing ideas from the Ravnica book. Even though Ravnica is a lot because they have the 10 guilds or whatever, right? But they do a good job in that of using the guilds in multiple ways. Like the guilds have their own backgrounds that get players invested in choosing the guild, and then there's encounter building and like adventure hooks, where they mix and match. They're like, take 2 guilds and here's how to build an adventure with them. I thought that was really good game design in the Ravnica books.
Yeah. My pitch for a movie I'd want to turn into a campaign is the Pixar movie Onward.
Oh, yeah.
Which I don't know that one.
And
that's the one with the 2 brothers, right?
And it's unfortunate because it came out like the week the pandemic hit.
Oh, okay.
And so it got dropped to streaming. I don't even know if they released it in theaters. It might not have actually. They may have pulled it right before, but it got dumped to Disney Plus, and that was before everyone really understood to switch over to streaming for everything. So it didn't do very well. But it's great. If you like D&D and fantasy stuff, it is great. It is in this, ironically enough, it's in this kind of Eberron society, not steampunk noir, but it's in this society where it was a fantasy society where they had lots of magic, but 1,000 years have passed, and technological advancements have made magic more or less obsolete. So it's like they have magic, but they don't use it because their technology is so much better. They have cars and stuff, and they go to high schools. It's like it's like a magic world where everyone forgot to do magic because they just didn't need to use it anymore. And
yeah, so it's like
I feel,
a mundane fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that idea of the low fantasy world where like the magic is still all out there. There are like minotaurs and weird and dragons and stuff, but like dragons ride the bus. It's like stuff like that, and I think it's very interesting.
Yeah. And then of course if you made a game out of that, the game would be the characters venturing forth to unlock, the magic and the wonder again, right? That would be the play of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right, hear me out. Die Hard.
Die Hard?
Die Hard.
Yeah.
You start with a party. You're trapped in all of a sudden, the monsters come into the mega dungeon, and now you are very much outgunned, outnumbered, and you gotta slowly level up, top down. You're trying to get out. Maybe there's some sort of inept force trying to help you poorly. Also, it's Christmas.
Yeah. I was thinking like you're saying monsters, so you're like Die Hard in a fantasy setting is what you're suggesting?
Well, yeah, to turn whatever movie into a D&D campaign. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to see like Die Hard as just like a modern day action game, right? Because we had all that in what was it, like late 80s, early 90s? Like we had the Steven Seagal movies that were like Die Hard on a battleship and Die Hard on a train, right? And so we've done Die Hard in like all sorts of venues. So if you count what was the zombie movie or Eight-Legged Freaks where it was like Die Hard in a mall, right?
The answer is always Die Hard. I mean, yeah, you could do Die Hard as a one shot for sure, where there's a big wizard's tower. The wizard is having a huge party to celebrate something. All the most important nobles are there. Some terrorists from a faction throw up some kind of magical ward around the castle, or the wizard's tower, trapping everyone inside. And there's one, not a cop, but whatever not wanting to be a party full of the the paladin and the rest of the party who are there at the party because trying to reconcile with their ex-partner.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to. That's the one shot. You have to take down the wizards, the evil faction who are there holding everyone hostage, and break the magical ward that's around the wizard's tower and let everyone out.
Everyone gets one uncommon magic item to start, and you're trying to save your marriage. Go.
That's
There
great.
you go.
Well, Ryan, that could be your entry into the one-page one-shot challenge,
Oh,
right?
all right. Die Hard
There you go.
with a vengeance. Working title. I just thought. Hold on. We'll get there. We'll workshop it.
Unalive hard.
Unalive heart. That's true. I can't. Yeah, you can't say that. Unalive
Yeah, you
heart.
can't say die anymore. Twin still asked about Dungeons and Daddies. I loved the first season of their podcast. Their second season of their podcast I found was more just like improv comedy and wasn't as interesting. Dungeons and Daddies is four dads from our world get transported into Faerun, and they go on adventures in a Honda Odyssey. And the first season is absolutely incredible. I fell off during the second season.
So I don't know Dungeons and I know it exists, but I haven't listened to it. There is an Adventure Zone side sesh sort of thing that Brendan Lee Mulligan runs, and it's the Dadlands, and it sounds similar, but it's great.
Dadlands is great too, yeah.
I actually just saw My Brother and Me live, the guys who make Adventure Zone, and it was a blast. My wife got me tickets for my birthday, and it was highly recommend.
Nice.
It was a good time. I didn't see the Adventure Zone side of it, but I did see the Mabim Bam side of it.
I love my Bim Bam. Those guys are hilarious. Well, I gotta go.
Yeah.
So we are going to wrap this up. I do have one little recommendation before we go. Go listen to Lithonia by Childish Gambino. It's his new track. I have been listening to it nonstop for like 2 weeks, and it's in my head 24 hours a day. Lithonia, Lithonia.
He can do no wrong. Incredible.
He's like Kanye, but a good guy. He's like early Kanye.
But if Kanye was in like one of my favorite comedy series, and he also made a
yeah, I mean musically, he's like, remember when Kanye was great, like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, 808s and Heartbreak, that era before the Crazy really came out. Bino's like that.
I can see that.
Anyway, anybody else going to shout out a recommendation before we go?
Brad's latest video was really cool, and I didn't realize it was a series, and I want to see more of it because I didn't finish it because I had to come onto this video. But I love just like cool little settings, and it's an island you can literally drag and drop off the coast, and we might be going to Greyhawk Gang. I don't know,
Right.
so it might be way more relevant than just like some obscure piece you can steal. But yeah, check out Brad's stuff because he's cool.
Thanks. I wasn't prepared for a recommendation. I forgot that was a thing. Are we supposed to have a recommendation every show?
No, I didn't mean to put anybody on the spot. It just popped into my head because I'm listening to that song nonstop.
I have been watching Scavenger's Reign based on your recommendation.
Yes.
It's so weird.
Yes.
I haven't seen the end of it, so I don't know how it's all going to come together, but it has been a weird watch for sure.
It's great. I love that show. It was great. All right, well, that'll do it for us. Thank you for watching, and we will see you the next time we do this.
Thanks, everybody.